Coach Prime took to the X's, the Twitters, the tweets, the posts to tell us how much he enjoys Mel Kiper Jr. for what he said. Let's talk about that and what the implications are. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on Step Mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football. We talk football year-round. So if that's something you are into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Mel Kiper will ultimately be proven correct or incorrect about his evaluation of Shedeur Sanders? For those of you that are living underneath that particular rock, about 3 weeks ago, Mel Kiper was standing on the table going, I don't know why nobody has drafted Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback in the National Football League. He even went so far as to say some things that got under the skin of some NFL personnel. And we'll get to that. But I did think it was important that now Deion Sanders takes a moment to go to the tweets where he's got millions and millions of followers and tell people how much he loves Mel Kiper Jr. and appreciates him standing on his principles and his values when it comes to talking about Shedeur Sanders. For what it is worth to you, Mel Kiper Jr. was not the only person who had Shedeur Sanders mocked to get selected in the first round of the NFL draft. Many people thought he would be going in the spot that Jackson Dart went in when they traded up to go get him, New York Giants. Now you got this really wild quarterback room over there in New York that includes Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Tommy DeVito, and now Jackson Dart. It's going to be an eclectic group. It's going to be an interesting group, and Brian Daboll's got to make sure one of those guys wins, and maybe he needs to trade one of them to the New Orleans Saints. Maybe that guy is Jameis Winston. We'll find out for sure later. But as the draft continued to go on, we got to see some really interesting choices that were being made by some NFL teams on their quarterbacks. 5 quarterbacks in all were selected ahead of Shedeur Sanders, who went in the 5th round at 144 to the Cleveland Browns, who also had the audacity to trade up and go get him after having the audacity to draft Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round. So now you've got Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and Dillon Gabriel competing for the starting job, Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is famously where quarterbacks go to die. I understand that the Seth Wickersham book is getting a lot of publicity right now because Caleb Williams' daddy told him that, which is also true, by the way. It's also true. The city of Chicago got a pope before he got a 4,000-yard passer. Damn. So now we're in this really interesting space where we have to talk about Tyler Shuck being a 7th-year quarterback who's had 3 significant injuries and 1 good year of play at 3 different programs, being selected in the 2nd round, by the New Orleans Saints. And now it looks like he's got a real shot to be the starting quarterback because Derek Carr decided to retire after 11 seasons playing football. Now, after that, it gets a little bit more easy to understand, but that Tyler Shuck one's really that one we're going to have to look real hard at for a very long time. That one didn't make much sense. Jalen Milroe going to the Seattle Seahawks? Yeah, I see it. I see Lamar Jackson, if you can clean up the turnovers. He's that good. He's that electric. He's that fly. But you got to clean up the turnovers. Can't put the ball on the floor. Can't throw the ball to other people. Give him a good run game. He might be all right. Mike McDonald, his head coach, has a Baltimore Ravens background where, Lamar Jackson was doing the damn thing. And you understand that running the football and having a quarterback that can do it all is a great way to try to win games, maybe not win championships, which is, really what they're trying to do with Lamar Jackson. Then we can have that conversation about Dillon Gabriel. We can even have that conversation later down the line with Will Howard, 7th-round quarterback, and Quinn Ewers. But the one that we are having is Mel Kiper Jr., who was standing on the table for 3 days going, the NFL has not known how to select and evaluate quarterbacks for 50 years. Why should today be any different? And he's half right and he's half wrong, which is why quarterback drafting is such a fine art and fun to opine about, because you can be proven really great or really bad. For instance, Patrick Mahomes was not slated to be the next god in the sport, right? There's jokes now about, Cliff Kingsbury had Patrick Mahomes, and the best he could do was 7-5, which is, not entirely true, but you get the point there. Patrick Mahomes goes to Kansas City Chiefs with an offensive coordinator and head coach who knows what the hell he's doing and becomes the best football player in the world, taking Kansas City to multiple Super Bowls. That's the guy they traded up to go get, and that's the guy that the people were comparing to Deshaun Watson at the time, who was having a pretty good career at Houston before he decided to go and get all nasty and stuff. Now he can't seem to play football without turning it over or getting into trouble. Really like him to fix all of that because before all of this, Deshaun Watson was also one of the cooler men playing quarterback, and I can't say that anymore. Just can't say it. And when I look at quarterbacks in the NFL, you can only get to about 5 before you start going, I don't know. Because when I start talking about quarterbacks, I talk about guys that can win you championships. So Jalen Hurts is on the list, Josh Allen's on the list, Patrick Mahomes on the list, Lamar Jackson's on the list. But the reason that Aaron Rodgers is still such a sought-after commodity at 40 and a blown Achilles is because he has the capability to lead you to the Super Bowl. He has done it before. He is good enough to get you there if you give him some tools to play with. And he really only needs one. He needs Devontae Adams type, and then he needs all the controls at the line of scrimmage. He had a Devontae Adams type in George Pickens, but he got shipped off because that dude was giving Antonio Brown vibes, and now he's got beef with Dak Prescott, which is ridiculous. But I tend to look at it that way. I tend to ask very sincerely what it is that we could expect from a quarterback among those 32 starters. Okay? As we get closer and closer to decision day, though, with the NFL draft and who you're going to select, yeah, dog, I can't tell you that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starting quarterback for Cleveland Browns. Can't even tell you he's going to start. We can't even tell you he's going to make the 53-man roster. But I can tell you that Mel Kiper Jr. has been in the business for a very long time, and it ain't because his hair is so perfectly coiffed. It's because he's good at his job. And he was joined by Todd McShay. He was joined by Field Yates. He was joined by almost everybody who you know of as a professional mock draft person in saying this is one of the top 50 players, maybe the top 25 players in the draft. And at quarterback, this is the number 2 guy on the board. Cam Ward goes 1. He's supposed to go to Shedeur Sanders. If I start talking about Shedeur Sanders in the way I talk about Arch Manning, people really get into their feelings, but I think that's because of what they believe about Prime and not what they believe about Archie. Though Archie was the guy that said to San Diego, don't you dare draft my son. We're not going. And they didn't, and they won't, and they didn't, and they won't. And then he goes to New York, and they win Super Bowls. Nobody says anything. If that ends up happening in some way, because I think if Shedeur doesn't get on with the Cleveland Browns, he's going to get on somewhere. Somebody's going to give that boy a chance to play football and throw the ball around because he really is that good. You know, he's not as mobile as some, but he's accurate with the ball. And if you give him time, he's going to dice you up, which hallmark of a great quarterback. Tom Brady, same difference. The thing that I think Shedeur's got to work on is playing hero ball, which is holding on to the ball. Tom Brady will throw that ball in the dirt. If he knows it ain't there, he's just going to throw it in the dirt. He's not going to risk getting hit, and he's not going to risk taking the sack. He's just going to get rid of it and get mad at somebody who's supposed to get open or didn't do what they were supposed to do. Shedeur Sanders can get to that because he's got it up here. He's got the intellect. He's got the leadership abilities to really go and make some hay here. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And I don't think he would want it any other way, especially given the mess that he's had to deal with, that his daddy's had to deal with. When I talked to Deion, he was very clear about this. He's like, it's almost like they said that they're tired of us. You know, they're tired of hearing about the Sanders. Had to deal with me, now they get to deal with my children. He says, we're going to be here, though, all day, every day. That's what we do. We're here for the adversity, and we're here to play football. Shedeur Sanders is as cold and as calculating as they come, and he holds a grudge as best to anybody. And if Mel Kiper's standing on the table for you, you could do a lot worse than that.